911, what are you reporting?
We got someone or something crawling around out here.
All I can remember is flipping the light on, and I see this creature, and I knew in my heart, I knew in my mind, the whole night, this isn't a man.
Went to look forward, and there was a big black thing, is all I can call it, that was in midair going across the road in front of me.
And then this thing walks across the road, takes a turn towards us, and then leaps over a guardrail. And the whole time, the whole thing was shadowing us, right behind us, right outside of us. You could kind of see the thing moving through the woods.
There are thousands of perfect people whose word would be good on any other subject who describe getting a good look at an enormous hair-covered upright animal. And that is a fact.
Don't give me a snap.
And good evening, cyberspace. Welcome to Squatch-D TV for today's date, January 19th, 2020. I'm your host, your guide, the Squatch Detective Steve Kulls, along with my co-host, right down there, Mr. Chris Bennett.
Go on, Steve.
So how are you tonight, Mr. Bennett?
Oh, cold, man, cold. The global warming is left. We really dropped a lot of degrees in the last few days. I mean, we're talking. You could go out in shorts and a t-shirt a few days ago, and now, oh man, you better bundle up. It's cold out.
Yes, that is. Hey, let's say hi to a couple of our folks. I just want to, Suzanne, our good friend Suzanne.
Hey, Suzanne.
Said that, she just heard your quote on your open. Yes, you did. I was looking for some witness quotes over the shows we've done, and I was like, yeah, we just did Suzanne. I'll put a quote of hers on there. And
Suzanne, you're famous.
That's right. Or infamous, depending on. And of course, we got Walt, good old Walt. Hello, Walt. And little Walt is watching. Hello to little Walt as well.
Hello, Walt.
And of course, Dave Drag. How are you, Drag?
Hey, Dave.
Good to see you, brother. So, yep, here we are, almost to the Super Bowl, just a couple of weeks away.
Yeah, that's something. I don't do sports. I don't watch Super Bowls. I know it seems kind of odd, but I don't.
And we have a new listener, BJ Bruno, here in Pittsburgh. Hello, BJ. Welcome to the show.
Welcome.
So, yeah, we got a heck of a show lined up for you tonight, as always. Just a programming note for next week. We have the one, the only John Kuykendall. I hope I'm pronouncing that, or is it Kuykendall? From Colorado. He's an author and publisher of Squatch GQ magazine. And, I wanted him to come on, promote his magazine. Looks like a great periodical. So we'll have him on next week talking about stuff like that. And
cool.
There's Mr. Altman. Hello, sir.
Eric.
Hello, Eric. See, I shooting on camera, sometimes you get mixed up because left is right and right is left. So
yeah.
And we're not taking off for spelling here, Walt, tonight, but you just said hi, eek.
That's better. Yeah, good job. Oh man, Eric, man, good to have you, bud.
Yes. So yeah, it's been an interesting week. Needless to say, there's a lot going on. Not all good, but that's okay because you'll never, you can't keep a good dog down. So here I am. Chris, I could tell you stories tonight, but it's not for public consumption.
Well,
so,
yeah,
Yeah. But a quick note while we're scanning the internet, kind of last minute today. We always do we don't know what the show is going to mold out to be every week because news is news, and we'd like to do news. And one of the interesting things we found just recently was a Bigfoot themed restaurant opened up in Whitehall. What a surprise! It's right along the canal, and it's an article in onlyinyourstate.com, and it looks like a nice joint. Looks like
it does.
Looks like they have some great food.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll take that beer.
Oh.
Yes. And I don't even. Well, let's see. What is that? That
I don't know.
Here we are talking about food. We're all gonna be
kind of
hungry.
messy, doesn't it?
Well, that looks like I don't know what the hell that is. Looks like a chicken breast atop of some sort of salad
with chocolate syrup.
No, I think that's a.
What is that?
I think that's a balsamic.
Oh, maybe.
Yes. Yeah. I am kind of a foodie, so.
Oh, okay. Okay.
My favorite food is seconds. And of course, every place has got to have a Squatch burger.
Oh my God, there is no way, dude. I could not eat that.
I could eat 2 of them.
I mean, I could probably make it through about half, but good Lord, that's big. That's a big burger.
Looks like a nice, and of course, you can take a selfie in the the old Bigfoot there.
Yeah. Hey, I could stick my face through there and get a picture with a thinner physique here. I don't know. I might stick out from behind the Bigfoot though.
So I may have to check that place out.
Oh yeah, yeah. If I was a little closer, I would definitely stop in and eat a bite.
Well, I did something for the first time, and we were going to get onto the squatching stuff, but Chris and I always banter back for a few minutes. But I went to Texas de Brazil, the steakhouse buffet.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it was good.
Really?
Oh, the steaks I had cut like butter. And literally, I had beef, pork, chicken, fish, all while I was there.
Right.
And everything was just top notch.
Oh yeah.
So anyway,
Good
well,
stuff.
I suppose people want to know what we're talking about tonight.
Oh yeah. Other than food and eating, I'm sorry, folks.
Yes.
You can tell by looking at me, I've not missed many meals in my life.
Chris is a light eater. When it gets light out, he eats.
Yeah, that's right.
Myself, I'm in a seafood diet. Any food I see, I will eat. Anyway, enough of the bad food jokes. Off to tonight's discussion. Here we go, folks. We're going to call that right up right now. First up tonight, paranormal caught on tape. Or is it really? Paranormal caught on camera. Yes, I've caught a few episodes of this, and I got a tip off on one particular item, and I happened to come across this particular item. Sean and Brandon Sullivan of Arkansas claiming they caught this Bigfoot video and hearing this roar. And, it's always the hoaxers who overplay their hand. Take a listen. Now, wait a second. I've heard that before. Where was that? Here he is, Mr. Expedition None himself, Mr. Bob Garrett, the man who refused to pay back people he had received money for an expedition that never took off. Well, anyway, he was caught playing this audio of guerrilla recordings, and I want you to take a listen to the comparisons. Take a listen. So there you have it. Very clearly gorilla sounds on that video. Of course, the video wasn't that great, but it kind of makes me wonder who exactly is doing the screening for these videos to be presented to the panel, because I was actually researching this wonderful gem. Yes, I was tipped off that season 2, episode 1 will feature Jeff Patterson, the Squatch Master, claiming that the video was taken in Ohio. Here you have this wonderful, crappy video, but on YouTube, it's not Ohio, it's Pennsylvania. So, of course, the story always turns out to be bullshit. So, can we blame the panelists? Well, I don't think so. They're probably told to speak positively of the videos they see, and not to mention they get edited a lot. I think really who we can blame is the screeners not giving a crap what they're putting out there. Yes, and checking, it looks like Patterson will be re-aired on January 27th on the Travel Channel. Check it out. Yes, a new human ancestor was found. This article that we're going to look at here actually dates back to April of last year. But what does this mean with the Ketchum study and all that other crap over that way? Well, we'll talk about it in a little bit. The cult of personality. Cult of personality. Here we go.
I've been saying, and so have others been saying, that read my book, watch my videos, the mystery's been solved, and people ignore it. And they ignore it for one of two reasons. One, because they don't believe that the mystery has been solved and I have the answers, so they don't want to take the time to read the book. They'll read all the other books that don't have the answers, but they don't want to read my book that does have the answers. That's one reason. The other reason is, if they acknowledge that the mystery has been solved and the mission is accomplished, then that means that part of the journey is over. That means they didn't cross the finish line first. That means that they have to acknowledge that I did. If you want those answers, then get your hands on my book and read my book. And more importantly, read my book soon, because my second book is coming out behind the learning curve, including Ron Moorhead and Scott Nelson and Scott Carpenter and Todd Standing and Les Stroud and on, Jeff Mildred. They're all behind Cliff Brockman, Matt Moneymaker. Instead of reading all the Bigfoot books that don't have the answers, grab the one that does. Instead of watching all the videos that don't have the answers, they just have questions, watch the video series, the 4-part video series of The Great Reveal that does have the answers. Quit looking in different places that just cause you to ask more questions.
Okay, it's time for our weekly break. What would you do? finally, a Reddit user shows dismay about Bigfoot in the community. Yes, this Reddit user says, why hasn't there been any good Bigfoot videos in the last 5 years or so? And he also goes on to talk about the degradation of like the Reddit site going to talking about Bigfoot arts and crafts and other stuff. Well, this opens up to a door for a whole new discussion. Okay, folks, that's the news for this week. Let's talk about it.
Are you drinking a Diet Peach Snapple?
Yes, I am.
Oh, no.
So anyway, hey, we want to say hi to Darcy. Darcy, welcome.
Hi, Darcy.
YouTuber coming in. And while we were gone, Cryptidville popped in. Hello, Cryptidville.
Cryptidville, yeah.
And my buddy Tom is on there. Says my wife says I snore like that. He says I disagree. I've never heard you snore. Well, I remember, being a partner with Mr. Dixon a long time ago, and yes, you do snore like that. Anyway, so there was a lot going on there. Obviously, so let's start with the paranormal caught on camera. And of course, hello to Sassy Squatch Girl. Hello, welcome on YouTube. Yeah, so this I got a tip off that Jeff Patterson was on episode 1, season 2 of Paranormal Caught on Camera. And of course, we've had the Squatch Master here, profiled a couple of times here. Once with the tree shaking audio that actually Tim Stover was the one who kind of called the BS on that. And of course, the official drinking spot. That's right. And Ken Parnell actually said, "Hey, guts," but he meant guys. So hello, Ken. Hello, Darcy. Hello, Tom. And glad to all have you here. But yeah, so Patterson had the tree shaker video, and that made it to Finding Bigfoot, and they pretty much said it was a hoax. We profiled that one actually on our very first episode or second episode here on Squatch-D TV way back in late July, early August of last year. And can you believe we've been doing that show this long already? So now we have Patterson with the audio bit. We did that on the radio show, but we've also showed that here as well with him, how he reversed the audio. And now apparently he showed up with that video we showed earlier of the Bigfoot walking, the alleged Bigfoot walking on the ridge. And obviously we know that, once you start becoming a serial hoaxer, nothing you put out there is legit. I think we profiled the one with the dead one where it was just looks like a gorilla costume with nobody in it. Hello.
Hey, Sherry.
So we have that, and he, so while I'm looking at this, then I come across the other cats there, from Arkansas that actually, well, let's go back here a second. Oops, we don't. The Sullivans here. We actually came across these two guys, and father son, and this was taken a number of years ago. So, in actuality, they used those sounds before Bob Garrett even did. And if there looks like there's a little sound difference, don't forget that you can throw some compression in there and some sound changes, as well as the television program messing with it too, because we had the music track in there with it as well.
Right.
But now I'm wondering, and this is the only thing, I don't want to necessarily call this a hoax outright, although the Bigfoot in the video looks just like a little person in a costume. I
It's
will
a
say
hoax.
this. Oh, absolutely. But here's the thing. Did the editors of Paranormal Caught on Camera decide to grab some gorilla sounds and throw that in there because the sounds they had weren't either strong enough or dramatic enough? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, you think they may have edited their video for
Yeah,
content,
right. So that's
Yeah.
entirely a possibility.
It's possible.
So I want to leave that. See, it's easy, and you know, somebody, and we're going to be talking, and we got a little thing on hoaxes tonight, and you know, one of the when I put out a blog this week, and we're going to get into that blog, and we're going to break that all down. But somebody said, you know, it's great you're calling out hoaxers and stuff like that, but there's people out there that are calling people hoaxers without any evidence, and
Right.
I'm very very firm against that.
Yeah.
You know, and of course, you know, Darcy agrees with us. You know, no, they would never do that. LOL. Yeah, exactly. So I can't necessarily catch the responsibility for this being a hoax all on the Sullivans. I
Right.
think the video on its own merit looks kind of hokey. You know, but did they put the audio there, or did the producers? I'm not sure at this point. But the one thing I will say is that hoaxers always tend to overplay their hands. We're going to get into the whole thing on this, but this is not part of the program that we'll be talking about. But you know, it's like, and you can always tell with the Linda Newton Perry stories over on Bigfoot Ballyhoo. Everybody's driving down the road and they see it, and then then there was this god awful smell. Well, you're only driving by it for 3 seconds. If you're you know, you're not going to smell it. You know, you know, so they always overplay their hands by silly things.
Well, you know, I've seen that video in other places other than on TV, and it had the same soundtrack with it, Steve.
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't know if unless the editors for the Paranormal Caught on Camera or whatever gave them the video to distribute. I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, it would be a shame if Mr. Sullivan there was raising his son to be a charlatan and a hoaxer without any, you know. That would be a shame. But
right. So I'm not really ready to say that they may be responsible for it wholeheartedly.
Right.
But you know, because like I said, the producers could very well throw the audio into it.
They could have made it a hoax video. Yes, because the video, the video that they showed on the TV show is a hoax based on the soundtrack. Right.
Yep. Absolutely. And then if this guy actually made it to Paranormal Caught on Camera, you know, what are they thinking? You know,
when will these people ever learn, Steve?
Well, you know, Finding Bigfoot put him on, and I'm sure that was a producer call, not necessarily a staff call, because, you know, hey, wait a minute, we know this guy, but then again, Finding Bigfoot also put Todd Standing on there too.
Yep.
So that is an issue. I have problems with shows that take these people that are serial hoaxers, and let's feature them on the show. It'd be kind of a kick, either we debunk them or not. You know, at that point, they have been debunked 1,000 times.
Yep.
You know, now they're just putting them on the show for a little pop, and we'll have our heroes debunk it. Yep. You know, they've already been debunked, and don't act like. And no offense to any of I mean, they have to deal with what the production team presents them. So, and I get that, but you know, it's just insulting. You know, it's really insulting that, you know, oh, well, you know, we feel that this isn't real. Yeah, no crap. That's been going around for years. Just like this, you know, this cat with the tree shaker video, just like Todd Standing with his crap. It's no, it really is no revelation. So, and hello to Amy Bew. Hello.
Hi, Amy.
Hello. So it's really, to me, it's really no revelation. And, you know, and I've seen other things too, where, you know, they'll have somebody make, you know, this, well, you know, and they come up with something that's, you know, been circulating for years in the Bigfoot community. And it's like, they're trying to present it as something new. It's kind of insulting at times. Yeah. But truth be known, I haven't heard Expedition Bigfoot do that quite yet. So that's a good sign. That's a pulse with them.
Yeah, Steve, I don't know if it's just me or not, but your signal's cutting out there, bud.
How about now? Am I good?
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
That's working now.
All right. So yeah, I'm not entirely sure what goes on behind the scenes there. Now let's move over to our next wonderful. Well, actually, let's move over to the DNA. And,
oh yeah, okay,
yes,
that's good.
The DNA, and I just caught this article, and so what it basically says is according to the study of DNA of modern papons, contain hundreds of gene variants from two deeply divergent Denisovin, I'm having problems. Denisovin lineages. One lineage had previously been seen in Papua and South Asia DNA, but the other lineage never had been seen before.
Yes.
Scientists would like to use this study understand how inherited genetic variants caused by interbreeding with ancient hominins affect the human health today, particularly the underserved populations living on the islands of Southeast Asia. Many things are unknown about this human relative, but with more research, scientists will hopefully uncover more about this chapter in ancient human history.
Yes.
That was towards the end of it, but what they said is that the latter group's DNA between the Denisovans and the Neanderthals, the DNA was discovered in 2010 and particularly common in East and Southeastern Asian populations.
Right.
A new study in Cell provides evidence that another ancestor, one that had branched off from Denisovans long ago, lived in Papua New Guinea and also mated with modern humans as soon as 15,000 to 30,000 years ago.
Right.
So, well, that's funny because according to Melba, 15,000 years ago is when the Bigfoot were born. But
see, that's the thing. I remember reading that article, and or maybe not that exact one, but some of the research about it, and it's when they were doing like I pronounce it Denisovans. So they were doing the DNA study and breaking down what partially they were interbred with Neanderthal, and they found another relic hominid DNA fragment in there. So that proves, beyond the shadow of a doubt to science, that there is another ancestry out there that we don't know about yet, that we've not found. So they're out there,
and that is actually further along than our break with the great ape. Yeah. So still we have that missing link. It's still there.
Right.
But this is just like, hey, there's another variant and another variant and another variant. And then we wonder why, people have a hard time understanding DNA interpretation when they're used to doing DNA of cats.
Right. Yeah.
Well, so yeah, it's a very, very complicated topic there.
Yeah, and for those people who think that the Sasquatch cannot exist because they think we've discovered everything.
Right.
Hey, we haven't even discovered our own line yet. We're still finding human ancestors.
Correct.
And have yet to be found.
Right, exactly. So who knows, that's why I don't put much into, a lot of people want to go to the particular, well, what do you think it is? Well, I think it's a primate. I don't know what else is going to be after that.
That's it.
Don't know.
We don't know.
We're going to skip over the cult of personality there.
Yeah, man, I tell you what, I'm sorry. I just, I can get along with anybody, Steve, but I just don't like that guy. I mean, he just,
he has gone off. And, the funny thing is a lot of people, I watched him on a video, for like 15, 17 years ago, and he was normal. Now he's starting this cult, and, it's kind of funny. He says book 25 times. He name drops all these people. And, he goes to the,
he keeps saying he crossed the finish line first.
Right.
Well, if the destination was at the nut house, he crossed the finish line. He's there.
And you know, see, here's the thing about that particular thing. And when we talking, you know, similar on the hoaxing segment that and you know, this is some really good psychological stuff coming up. But you know, it just, he's developing a cult. He's developing these following based on that, and it doesn't surprise me. He calls himself 13. I am the ambassador.
Oh. Ooh.
Just like Rajneesh was the prophet, David Koresh was the prophet.
Yeah.
It's showing all the signs of cults. Here's a book that has all the answers. Where do you hear that? Hate to say it, you hear it in church.
Yeah.
So he's developing a cult.
So he has like 12 disciples, huh? And that would make him. Well,
no, the Janu are ruled by a council of 12.
Oh, okay.
Zorth being the leader of that, and you know, Amy Pugh says no comment. Dan Parnell says Dr. J reminds me too much of L. Ron Hubbard. I agree.
That's it.
Close.
Ken. You got
it.
Bill
says I have serious issues who prey upon people.
Yeah.
Red flag to all of that. Very true. And Angela says scary shit. And yes, it is. It definitely is. You know, there was an article about a man who passed away. And again, I don't know the authenticity of this, but I do have the Facebook posts. And apparently he wasn't seeking medical attention. He was trying to have the Janu heal him. Well, he croaked.
Oh, man.
So, you know, here, that is the epitome of cult. Epitome.
Yeah.
You know, it just, you know, and then of course the evil Tracheon. You know, and you know, we showed that video a few months ago about, oh well, we're leaving because the Tracheon are taking over here and blah 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 blah. And well, Nani says he's a narcissist. We are going to get way into that in a little bit. So unreal. But we'll get into some of that, and we can talk about different personality types and stuff and hoaxers when we get into that, because that's what that segment is, and it's coming up soon. But before we get to that, let's talk about this Reddit user that basically said that he hasn't seen a decent video of a Sasquatch sighting. A decent video of a Sasquatch sighting hasn't come out in like 5 years or so.
Yeah.
And I don't think he means an actual video of a creature. I think somebody Angela goes, someone died. Doesn't he have some responsibility as a doctor? He's not a medical doctor. He's a psychologist. So he's not a psychiatrist. He's a psychologist. So they don't have a doctorate necessarily. They only need a master's degree, but they can call themselves doctor. So, which coincidentally is what Dr. Igor Burtsev does. He only has a master's. So has a new video come out in the last 5 years? I'm sure they're out there. And he says, the same videos are being recycled over and over. I agree. How many times do we put stuff out there that says, hey, this is being going around again?
Right. Yeah.
And do you know why? Because you get a new crowd every few years that don't know what happened a few years ago.
Yeah.
So,
well,
I don't, Angela, I don't disagree with you there. I mean, I think he would bear some responsibility, but right. Yeah, exactly. Cryptoville, the ones who come across as legit. Dr. J did for years. Now, people are like, he had this big reveal and it was a packed house. And I when people walked out of there, I wasn't there. I haven't seen any video from the big reveal when he talked about Zorth and the Janu for the first time. And, I don't know how many people walked out of there with the tinfoil hats. I just don't know. So
if, I wish I had been there. I would have loved to. I would have loved to have been there and heard it.
I would have loved to have been a fly in the wall in there. And you know what? See, he did. I don't know where he did that in Oregon, I think, or Washington. But you know what would happen? You know what would happen, Chris, if he did that in Kentucky?
Well, he
you know,
probably, I don't know if he made it out.
Yeah, you know what happened? Be like, you know, I'll be sitting there, you know, and I'm going to play the part of the guy in the crowd. You're going to play the guy sitting next to me. I'm going to go, hey, Chris,
yeah, man.
what that boy just say?
That old boy ain't right, is he?
Is he out of his mind? Well,
Let's
anyway.
get out of here, man. Walmart got shells on sale.
Yeah, you know, now I think about it, you know, I got to move my tractor from the back of the house back to the rear of the house.
That dude, man, he's. I'm sorry, you know. I mean, you know, if he's watching the show, I'm sorry, dude. You're crazy. You're a nut. You need to help yourself, doctor. You know, physician, heal thyself.
And you know, and he's coming out with a second book. And like I said in that whole video, you can't tell that's not about ego and money and all that other stuff. He complains that, you know, oh, you would have to acknowledge I'm first. And he mentions the word book 25 times. Book. And in fact, the funny thing is I actually have the stats on that. And right. So in a minute and 15 seconds, he mentions the word book 17 times.
Oh.
In a minute and 15 seconds.
Yeah.
Only mentioning the word book 8 other times throughout the bookends of that video.
Right.
So, and then
do you think this was done by accident, or do you think this was prepared strategically from a psychological point of view?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Book. Yeah.
Oh no. My good buddy Keith Worley. Hello, Keith.
Keith.
So I'm going to ask the chat group. Please fill in, Keith, on exactly who the hell is Zorth.
Yeah.
And if you want to, you know, throw in the Tracheon, if you can even spell Tracheon, you can tell him too. But yeah, throw that in the chat room what Zorth is. I'd really appreciate. Amy says you don't want to know.
The dude, he's copying directly from L. Ron Hubbard. That's exactly what he's
very
doing.
Similar, very similar.
He thinks he's going to make his own religion and be wealthy and stuff. And you know, well, I'm not going to wish him luck because he's you know, taking advantage of people.
And he's a psychologist.
Yeah, and he preys on people. Yeah.
Yep. So I hope everybody enjoyed the moose video.
Man,
I thought the moose video was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's my favorite. I love that.
Yep, that's going to go up separately tomorrow. And I'm actually sending a copy of that to Ring Doorbell because I saw that and I'm like, you know, I could make a Ring Doorbell commercial out of it.
Yes, a good one. Yeah.
So that was kind of fun.
Dude, I'm telling you, that should air. That was good. Yeah.
They may have to edit out the old, the old, even though, you know, I did kind of put an asterisk there.
Yeah, yeah.
So
well, I tell you what, we don't have moose in Kentucky, and you know, for years I didn't realize how big they were. Wasn't that one in the video wasn't that big, but he was pretty good size. But man, I didn't realize for years how big those things were. Yeah. And come to find out, those things actually kill people, you know.
Well, you know, it's kind of funny. A moose to me is more dangerous than a bear. You know, a bear is quite predictable. A lot of times moose are not. You know, you got this 4-legged gangly thing that doesn't eat meat, but it can trample you pretty hard.
Yeah.
And, you know, I just, unreal. And the guy, like I said, the moose, you know, a lot of people would think that the moose was being aggressive, but really it wasn't. And if people want me to run the moose video, just throw it there in the chat and we'll run the moose video again tonight.
Yeah, he was he was sniffing around for something to eat. He smelled something. Somebody must have threw out some lettuce or something.
And you know, he wasn't really aggressive, and the poor bastard only had half a rack. Yeah, and he only had the left antler. The right antler had fallen off. So, but it was just so funny. I'm sitting there watching this video, and I see it turn and look towards the camera. I said, "Oh, this is video gold here." Perfect. So we had to play that. But yes, so if you're out there in the forest, especially in the Northeast, or in the Wisconsin area, and I believe there's some moose in Minnesota as well, in the Dakotas, perhaps. I'm not familiar with all the indigenous across the United States. But if you're out there in the woods, that's why you got to carry bear spray. It would work against the moose, but they're not friendly. And if you have a particularly large dog, not only do not Sasquatch supposedly not like them, but moose, like if they see a German Shepherd or a Husky,
right.
Their natural predator in the wild is a wolf.
Right.
So they see that type of dog, and they do not have the wherewithal to differentiate.
Yeah.
However, if they see a small dog, believe it or not, the moose is not bothered whatsoever. It's only the wolf-looking dogs, the ones with the ears up, or the rather large dogs that are similar.
Right.
So
makes sense.
Yep.
But the dude did the right thing. I mean, I would have hopped in that trash can too, or the dumpster.
That's right, Nani. And you know what? The funny thing is I actually have moose. Supposedly moose. There's a moose crossing sign not 10 miles from my house.
Wow.
So haven't seen one yet. I heard one actually. They sound almost elk-like a little bit. They have the whistle type of thing. I heard one a few years ago when I was first exploring up here, and there was a moose whistle. I'm like, I know what that is. And they're like, that's a moose. So.
Oh man.
So anyway, so that was a lot of fun. So let's get on. Let's do our little thing on hoaxing while we're here.
Yeah.
So anyway, a couple of things that I like to talk about a lot of times, and this whole Dr. J thing brings up a lot of valid things. And I came across an article. You can read the whole entire article at squatchdetective.wordpress.com, or you can go to squatchdetective.com, click on the blog link, and it'll go right to the article.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Yep. A lot easier. But anyway, there is exactly, up on Southline, absolutely. So anyway, there was an article on how to spot hoaxes, the 5 telltale signs of hoaxing. And it was very, I would say it was very eye-opening, very intuitive. And so, and you're going to see like one side, and then underneath you'll see what I had to add to it. So the 5 telltale signs of an online hoax. And number 1, I've always said this, timelines don't add up. People perpetrating a hoax often have to construct a backstory in order to build their credibility. This may involve creating a history for a company, person, other entity. The farther back they go to establish credibility, the more likely they are to make a mistake. And again, that's provided you're given a timeline. Many hoaxes lack a timeline, which in of itself, and this is my addition, is in of itself is dubious. I always say a picture, video, audio is only worth as good as a story behind it.
Yeah.
One of the things that I preach when you have even a roadside crossing, any type of thing like that, you want to build up a timeline. Well, where were you coming from? Well, I was coming from my relatives. Well, where do your relatives live? Well, they live in Fairhaven. Okay. And you're traveling where? Well, I was going to Ticonderoga. Okay. And their sighting was where? Well, it was right here on Route 4 in Whitehall, right at this spot. Okay. Now you have a timeline. What time did you leave your relatives? Well, I left at 10 o'clock at night. What time did you have your sighting? 10:05. Well, something's wrong there. 10:20, 10, So you start building that timeline to make sure things, well, what time did you get home that night? All of these things should add up.
Yeah.
Right. Did you stop anywhere before? Did you stop anywhere after? Like when you left your relatives, did you get gas? Where did you get gas? You got to build that timeline. People say, well, why do you need to be so deep into that? Because that's how you build credibility. That's how you not make the mistake of saying, I believe that sighting when the sighting is baloney. So that's why you need to establish a timeline always. Very important thing. Names and people are problematic. The names and people cited in hoaxes often have gaps in their history, off a very thin profile. This is because most of the time they simply do not exist. And of course, I always say the lack of any source material, lack of names and places aside from scene preservation should be suspect. I never have a problem if another researcher says, hey, listen, like we had Tim on a couple of weeks ago. He gave us a general area, but would not, I know where the area is. He actually told me where it is, showed me on a map even, but I'm not going to reveal that. That's his area. That's, his scene, his crime scene. He needs to work that. And quick thing. Hello, Jimmy.
Jimmy.
So anyway, you want to do that. You have to be sensitive to that. But then again, any lack of source material, lack of names and places, like if you look at the Ketchum study, when they got published and they got, somebody entered their stuff in James, all of that stuff, the person who entered in James, the person she bought that alleged journal from, that she said, oh, well, they were going to publish this, but their lawyer said it was too controversial, so she sold us the journal. Well, it turns out that, we've looked at the name of that person that was the alleged thing, and it has ties to Minnesota, and it just so happens that at the time, Melba's public relations person was in Minnesota, which was really bizarre because it was definitely a stock account.
Yep.
So, hello, Ryan. So anyway, so that is, you're really huge with that too, is that the names and people are problematic. I remember years ago, this is even before Squatch-D. Well, yeah, it was just about, it was before the start of even Squatch Detective Radio back in 2006. There was something called the Katoomba Yowie video. And, it was a long story, but I got the guy to, kind of make a mistake in his timeline. Again, going back to the timeline problem. He made a mistake in the timeline. He said his wife was doing something, and then another time he said she was doing something else. But notwithstanding, I was like, okay, so can you tell me, if your wife wasn't there and she was with her friend in the house, there were other people there, correct? Well, yes, there was. Well, can I get their names? Boom. That's when things became aggressive with him.
Yeah.
He became very angry. Well, you know what? You come up with this story, and now, if you all saw it, like you were all there, you hear going, ooh, ah, ooh, ah. Why aren't you giving up those names?
Yeah.
Right. So there were people there, but he didn't want to give up the names. Why? Because they couldn't corroborate properly. So yeah, the whole thing was baloney. So trying to get to the next frame here, and it doesn't want to turn. There we go over here. So again, I've said this too. When Guy Edwards did his thing, remember I told him he missed a step, and that was the target audience. And this particular article says it appeals to a specific group or ideology, or is too perfect. And this is huge. This is how hoaxes get sold, because it always appeals to a specific group of people or ideology. Humans love to hear things that we already believe in. So if you believe in Bigfoot, there's a lot of people out there that will buy everything. It is immensely comforting for us to be told information that conforms to our existing beliefs and knowledge. So that's why, the Todd Standings, of the world can do that. Even the Dr. J's to some extent. People want their answers, and that is part of why they do what they do. That's why they target, because these people are already half over the barrel. Now it's just adding a little bit to put them over.
Oh yeah.
And we've seen that so many times and times again. And as I've stated previously, there's always a target group, whether it be a particular organization or community as a whole. The Penn and Teller hoax, aka the Sonoma video hoax, when that came out, I even called it. I profiled that one properly. I said, this particular hoax is made to look a particular organization like a jerk. And it turned out it was Penn and Teller doing a show called BS, bullshit, whatever.
Yeah.
And they did it, and they targeted Matt Moneymaker, and they targeted Tom Biscardi.
Yeah.
Who was asshole A and asshole number one, because they said, oh, they were both assholes. But the bottom line is this, is that, to me, that didn't provide anything to me in sense. They were hoaxers. So automatically at that point, maybe for their viewers of their show, they may have gotten a laugh. Ha, 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 ha.
Yeah.
For me, it was disgusting to do that, because, it really makes no sense to me why, people have said that too. A lot of times, you talk about ethics. somebody says, well, why don't you, doctor up something and see how many people would believe it and put it up, and then a few days later tell them no, it was all fake. I said, I can't do that because I will not hoax, period. End of story. You can't,
Right.
Because then people will start questioning everything else you do.
Yeah.
So,
credibility.
Yeah, exactly. No, I don't need to put up a picture and say, hey, you see the Bigfoot? Now, I may do that in obvious parody, which I've done.
Right.
But you would never do that trying to dupe people. I just feel that, putting one over is not a fair thing. So, nope, not at all. Has the trappings of authenticity. Then again, here we go. A hoax has to find its ways to convey a sense of credibility. Fake news articles often cite other media reports to back up their claim, but they will not link to these because they're non-existent articles, or they'll simply inset links that go to the homepage of a website they mention. And this is what I added. The term con is abbreviated for slang for confidence. We talked about that a little bit last week.
Yeah.
Always remember that. A person's charm, sincerity should be discounted in these situations because it's all to sell a story. You have to be a salesman or saleswoman in order to be a con man. So what I'm saying is that you have to take any personal feelings you have when you're talking to witnesses. You have to put those right aside because you have to deal with the facts and deal with the facts alone. In my life, I've dealt with probably a couple of thousand criminals in my life.
Yeah.
And there's some I truly like. I truly feel sorry for. But does not mean I'm not going to do my job. And that's what it's about. When you get out there, do your job. I don't want to burn them. They're such a nice guy. Hey, what's your job? What is your job?
Yeah.
Simple as that. And again, it falls apart when you focus on the details.
Yeah.
And this is what I'm telling folks today. Click, and this is the article. Click all the links, Google all of the names, reverse image search all of the images, run a who is on the domains mentioned. This is how you'll find loose threads that untangles the whole thing. Every piece of information is offered in detail as a detail to be examined. Something that reads as real will quickly fall apart in the face of a few clicks and searches. And I go, con artists rely on our natural human nature to be trusting and on our laziness to count on you taking their word rather than doing your homework. And that is, I can't say that enough. Con artists rely on our natural human nature, to be trusting.
Right.
And to a better extent, on our laziness to count on you taking their word. There was a couple of examples. Dyer in one of his hoaxes, I think it was 2008, maybe, he was trying to say that, Warren Coleman had molested somebody or something in Mexico. And he was also saying something about this Australian who had molested somebody in Australia. And he put up a news article. And if you Google the first couple of sentences of that news article, it comes back to an article where it was a different person. What he did was he got online, changed the name, and took a picture of it or whatever, and made it look like it was a real article. In actuality, if you look at the name, it was a different name, different,
Right.
So again, you have to click on all the links. You have to Google the names. And that is something, if you see somebody put something out there, like for example, if you just click all of the links, Google all the names, reverse image search all of the images, put that in your search terms, hit search, and guess what? You're going to find the article that came from.
Yeah.
That's the beautiful thing about the internet there. What I'm finding now is that Google search, image search is working less and less and less and less and less. So finding pictures of people, and then people are defeating them too. They reverse the images, or Linda Newton Perry got better at it. One of the greatest examples I can say is Linda Newton Perry, where we would take a picture, she would put on there, and I would find the real article it came from.
Yeah, but
and
that's because you kept busting her every time. That's why she got better. She started watching and not making the same mistake twice.
I'm going to add a little Instagram effect, maybe wash it a little with a little streaks behind it to kind of throw off the image. I'm going to reverse it. And that was the funny thing. She, at the very beginning, reversed Dale Saxton.
Right.
And it turned out that in one of her other articles, she was shortcutting it because she actually used a newspaper article. So I ended up reverse searching the alleged newspaper article and came up with the real one.
Right.
And then in the same database, there was Dale Saxton. So that's how we found that one.
Yeah.
So, you know, so that's another thing too, is that a lot of hoaxers for periods of time will use a lot of the same sources. So that's why I was able to find Photobase. And that's where Linda was getting all of her stuff. So I'd find one picture that I could trace back to Photobase and just look at the root menu of where she was getting them from. And I would find 4 or 5 more.
Yeah.
So, and then, you know, they're just hoaxing me. Oh, bull, you know, bull. So that's the 5 telltale signs of a hoax. And again, I remind everybody, con artists rely on our natural human nature to be trusting.
Yeah.
And laziness. Don't be neither.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to this, you can be trusting. That doesn't mean you don't do your homework.
Well, you know, Google makes it easy to do your homework, you know.
You know what, man? You know what? When I went to school, you know, little Bobby made it easy to do my homework. I'd give him $1 and he'd do all my homework.
Yeah. Oh, man. You know, when I went to school, we didn't have computers. You know, we used rocks.
I was going to say, would you use the abacus?
Yeah. No, we didn't have that. We had a bag of rocks. That's what.
Well, hell, in my school, we went to teach the law of gravity. We threw the teacher out the window.
Oh, no.
Anyway, yeah, before we dissect the frogs, we used to try to make them talk.
Never mind. I get New York. Okay, I got you.
That's right. That's right. We tough school. Whew.
Hoaxer profiles.
Now we're going to get into hoaxer profiles.
Oh.
And this has been updated since the last time I did it. So first we have the psychologically needy hoaxer. And this by far, in actuality, is probably, if you look at all the hoaxers, I could make a good argument to put one class as a subclass of this one too, but I'll get into that in a minute. But what I did was I broke it up basically into 3 different classes: the psychologically needy hoaxer, which has a subclass of the unintentional hoaxer. In truth, there is really, now that I'm thinking about it, there's really 2 types of hoaxers. You have the psychologically needy hoaxer and the profiteers, because I really feel the joker and the prankster normally belong into the psychologically needy hoaxer. But the jokesters kind of fall in a couple of categories on their own. But anyway, the psychologically needy hoaxer is one who hoaxes due to a recent psychological event in their life, such as divorce, being widowed, general loneliness, maybe even a terminal illness. And they do it for company and or attention. They need to feel special or have some special abilities to a class of people and have to feel superior within that class. These are the folks we see constantly on Facebook Live, every day, espousing their special abilities to communicate and detect or otherwise be in the know and know everything and see a Sasquatch on every visit out into the woods, or find a piece of Sasquatch evidence every time they go out in the woods. Those are the folks that are psychologically needed. Okay? This type of hoaxing overtook the field years ago from the prankster and jokester, with the advent of Facebook Live and in YouTube. And often when facing critics, these type of folks use the term jealousy, often because it questions their superiority. You know, so that, so you look at these folks and they're the ones, they had a need in their life to feel special. So you put them in that category, and there's a couple of them out there. There's a guy and his wife that talk every day well, you know, them Squatches, and I taught them Squatches how to be them, you know. And then you have another guy that's taking pictures of not only Sasquatch, but Anubis and the Dogman and the Birdman and all this other stuff. They're harmless. I understand they're harmless. But those are folks that are, you know, that are needing they need to feel special. They need to feel, you know, and you look at both of them, you look at both of those, and you can see they're kind of disadvantaged folks.
Yeah.
So, of course, they're the ones that are going to go out there and try to espouse they know everything. And then, you know, I can't believe some of you, you know, they're so jealous. They're jealous of me. I know how this is all done all the time. Now, does that mean I get nasty or gnarly with people? No, you know, I'm a pretty decent guy.
We know
and hold on a second. Walt, you said attention. No, attention is one thing, right? Attention is something you get for a few minutes and it goes away. These people need it consistently and constantly, and but it's never about. If they wanted attention, they could just get into a chat and keep asking questions. I'm getting attention. I'm getting my questions answered. No, it's not attention. It's the need to feel special or superior. That is it in a nutshell. That's why they're so advanced than all the rest of us. You know, all of a sudden they come on the scene. They know everything. They need to feel special and superior, not just getting attention. Attention is the person that actually the attention is the person that is more like the unintentional hoaxer sometimes. That's the person that really wants attention. But there are people that do want attention as well.
You mean like if you need all the answers to buy my book because they're in there?
Right.
Those type of people.
Right. And, yeah. Right. And see, here's and we'll get into all of that in a minute.
Yeah.
Okay. Dave Dragoson, Dr. Squatch, chiropractor in Western Pennsylvania. We had him as a speaker at Cabela's a few years ago. I sure do remember that guy. He has contrived soft evidence in every corner of the woods. That's not just me. And that is correct. And even Jimmy says, you know, David is correct. I was there as well. And I remember everybody was looking, going, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
And that's because he needs to feel special. He's a chiropractor. And, you know, he's got his own practice, everything, but he needs to feel special and superior. And, you know, Dave, I don't know. You can ask me. Jimmy, you can ask me. He gets very super defensive, which is a big sign of the psychologically needy hoaxer. Sorry, I'm talking a lot here, so.
Yeah, get you some more Snapple there.
Joan, get me a Snapple. Good God, I did that pretty good too. But anyway, there's a great example. But Dave brings up like this guy, very defensive. I kind of critiqued him, and he got all in my case about it. Oh, you know when, you know. But he walked around there. No lie, he walked around like this.
Oh,
and he goes over to Meldrum, Dr. Meldrum, and starts acting like, trying to act like he knows more than Dr. Meldrum. So that is your psychologically needy hoaxer. Excuse me, I'm kind of thirsty. Chris, you can take over anytime, you know.
Well, I'm having to mute out some because my wife's lovely little dog is in here barking.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. It just covers up the chili I had for lunch today. No, I'm just kidding.
No, go in there to mama. Go.
That's right, Walt. We have got the endorsement over. Hang on a second. Hang on. Let's take a minute break here for a second.
Okay.
Are you Bigfooters thirsty out there? Well, I suggest to get a delicious, refreshing Snapple. Yes, even the most famous Bigfoot rush to the store to get themselves their favorite beverage, a delicious peach Snapple. No need to be cranky when you can just ask your loved one for a delicious beverage.
Got it? Joe, get me a Snapple.
And don't be in such a hurry. There's plenty at the store.
Get me a Diet Peach Snapple.
Try delicious peach Snapple.
Joe, get me a Snapple.
Ah, there we go. I feel much better now.
Ooh, it's a good thing my mic was muted out. Oh Lord.
So you got the dog out. Who let that? No, man.
That was a good one. That's another one should be submitted to Snapple for a commercial. That would go well with the Bigfooters, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's been a while since I showed that. We got a much bigger audience. I think that I tossed that one off on our second or third show before we started to pick up steam here. Yeah, I'm surprised I could actually, I love my computer. So anyway, now we go to the subclass, the unintentional hoaxer. And this is one who has a legitimate sighting, and due to psychological differences of the sighting, every bump in the night becomes Bigfoot, often confused with misidentification. However, differs due to frequency of misidentifications by the subject. The reason why this is a subclass, because its root cause is a psychological effect of a sighting on them.
Yep. It happens.
And I've seen it. Somebody had a really good sighting, and all of a sudden they started seeing Bigfoot in every picture.
Yeah.
Everything, you hear a bump in the night, or they hear a bird and it's Bigfoot imitating them. So you have to, take it all with a grain of salt with those folks and try to show them the error of their ways. But the sad thing about it is they usually don't find the errors of their ways.
Yeah.
So, yep, here we go again. Every time I do that, I got to come over here. There we go. The prankster or jokester, one who hoaxes for humor and enjoyment. There is a psychological need, however, in some instances. While there is obvious parody, which should not be misconstrued as hoaxing, such as the Butchie Kids. The person as a prank tries to hoax, as a prank tries to hoax and is belittling others in some manner, either privately or publicly.
Right.
The hoaxer at times wants to feel superiority over a particular group. It should be noted that some parody also can be utilized for the same purposes. This motivation can be muddled at this point due to the monetization of YouTube channels, however. But the main motivation is usually the former, which is a psychological need to be superior. Look at me. I'm going to get all these people, I'm going to do this thing. And they're all gonna, they have there's no financial in it. There are some people that try to pull one with a big, for the big, money grab or whatever.
Right.
Get some clicks. But for the most part, people do that because it's a bully syndrome almost. I think it's like they were bullies. You rub the person's face, and now they're out here trying to bully a group by putting out, basically hoax videos as a prank. Oh, we'll get them. We'll get them. Again, they're feeling superior, trying to feel superior over another group of people.
Right.
And that's the bottom line. If you think about it, hoaxing is all about one class of people trying to feel superior over another. How many times have we seen what appears to be a really good researcher for the longest time, and then all of a sudden they hit the wall and they end up putting out bogus evidence? Matt Johnson. There's one right there. Now, he's not a prankster or hoaxer or jokester. There's a combination of different things going on. They're psychologically needy there, but he's also trying to, make a little money off the deal. And,
that's the thing that ties them together too, Steve, because I think, those guys that are trying to make a living off doing this, they have to produce something in order to continue. And a lot of times they're, when you go for years and there's nothing really good going on, then they come up with something on their own. And, that's when their integrity flies out the window.
and believe it or not, we're seeing that right now with another researcher. He's out in the Colorado area, and all of a sudden recently, he's coming out with these. Oh, well, we got this scat, and we got these footprints, and we got all of this stuff, and there's alpha females. Well, how do you know that? Well, I know because of my years of experience. Again, here we go.
Yeah.
Right? So we see that twist, and of course, finally,
here we go.
One who exposes hoaxes in an attempt to garner financial gain, either directly or indirectly. These are the folks which associate most with criminal traits, narcissism, and this is serious because if you think about it, if they're doing a hoax for profit, in a way that's no different than any other type of crime, they're trying to get money by deception. Now, whether it be criminal or not, that's getting money by deception. Whether it can be criminal or it can be non-criminal. It's fraud. Yeah. But it may not be necessarily under the scope of law criminal. Understand that? If you can understand.
I remember that from 2008. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. And 2013.
Yeah.
So, and have a good night, Keith Worley. He's checking out for the night. He's got to go.
Have a good one, Keith.
So, remember, a person who, narcissism, sociopathic tendencies, among others, can be at play here. Remember, a person who hoaxes for profit is the same type of personality which others take with more defined shortcuts in life. Theft is a shortcut in life. You're taking money that you didn't earn, and deception is a way of earning money you didn't earn. They often espouse their position with overconfidence and power plays. And you think about it, they're braggadocios. Yeah. And of course, look at the big three. Look at the big three that try to profit. We have the guy from California.
Yeah.
Then we have the knucklehead who sells cars in Florida. Right?
You're right.
And then we have the nook of the north there out there in out there in Calgary, with the who we saw a week or two ago with the gorilla gloves in the back of his car.
Right. You're right.
That's for a hand shoot. Oh, I got the Bigfoot hand in there grabbing an apple. That probably would have happened had those gloves not been found. But if you think about it, how do they espouse their position? These people don't know what they're talking about.
Right.
I'm the one who's going around the country and I'm the professional here.
Right.
You really want, what I liked about killing Bigfoot or whatever the heck that name of the movie was that was directed by Morgan Matthews. What I liked about it was that it showed all of them the way they were. Yeah. And out of the 4 people profiled there, the 2 from Ohio were innocent as anything. They believed what they were doing. They weren't looking for money. And that was Dallas and Wayne. Dallas, God rest his soul.
Yeah.
I may not have agreed with his evidence, but I never really went after him because he believed in it. I have no problem with people putting stuff out there. People have, it was kind of funny. Stop the Lunacy is, somebody asked me about that the other day. I said, well, what right do you have to tell people that, well, I'm not telling people what to believe in. I'm telling people that are on the fence to wake up, to look at everything with a fine grain of salt. Right. And if they want to believe that, Sasquatch can jump into a portal, do whatever, then they're entitled to believe that. I'm not going to say you're a bad person. You can't do that. You can do whatever you want. Just like Dallas and Wayne. I talked to him. Dallas was on the show a couple of times.
Yeah.
I didn't believe everything he said, but I know he believed in it. And as far as that was concerned, I didn't care. All right, he's an okay guy. And then he got mixed up with the guy from California, and then people started pointing them. Right. So people started pointing at them like they were hoaxers, and they didn't. And if you ever watch, and I recommend this, if you have not seen this movie, watch. It's not your typical Bigfoot movie. Watch that.
Yeah.
You'll see. Yeah. You'll see the guy from California like he truly, really represents himself. Nasty. Yeah. Nasty. He can be, and the funny thing is, and I've seen this. Okay. And this is what a lot of people don't understand. Is that between 2006 to 2008, I had infiltrated that organization out there. And I've seen the difference
Yeah.
when the sociopath switch turns on, because outside of the Bigfoot world, and I've seen very similar with Rick Dyer as well, outside of the Bigfoot world, they're normally function people who are nice and great people.
Mhm.
You know, kind. Yeah. Biscardi was very kind.
Yeah.
Very, very caring, good conversationalist when he was not talking about Bigfoot. But you get him into that world, you get Rick Dyer into that world. It's almost like a serial killer's fantasy world. They compartmentalize.
Hmm.
Okay. Serial killers compartmentalize. A lot of your serial offenders compartmentalize. You know, why do you think, you know, people in prison don't like child killers? They're compartmentalized. They've done horrendous things themselves. But you killed a child, my God, that steps over the line. Well, killing an adult doesn't.
Yeah, really.
Right?
Yeah.
So they're all compartmentalized. So they don't know how to, you know, whatever it is, it's causing that. And that's kind of actually a Zen realization right now, that they are compartmentalized. That when you get the Bigfoot out of them, you know, and in Dyer's case, I don't know, because I'm hearing things that maybe the car thing is now his new compartmentalization. You know what I mean? And sometimes, and that all goes back to psychology again. So there is a degree of psychology to all of these different profiles, but I really think that they're compartmentalized. And when they're compartmentalized and they step into the Bigfoot world, they become the narcissistic sociopathic person. They don't care what they're going to do. I'm going to get what I want, and this is the reason why, and this is that, and X, Y, and Z. You have to understand that. So that's why a person like Ivan Marks can charm a Dr. Warren Cook.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's exactly why, because they're compartmentalized. You get them outside, they're one person, but you get them into the game, and they become somebody completely different. You know?
Well, I think that's why it's the game mentality, because I think once they get into the Bigfoot world, that's their game. You know, and I did that before when the kid had the PlayStation and he had some game, Grand Theft Auto or something. Okay, I was the bad guy, and I was shooting cops and stuff, you know, and I was playing the game. And I would never do that in real life, you know, but it was a game to me. So I think these guys do about the same thing in the Bigfoot world. They go and use it as a game.
Yeah, yeah. Some do. And, you know, the guy from California, you know, that's a really screwed up thing. There was a lot of layers to that. His game wasn't Bigfoot. A lot of people think it is. It's not. It's about money.
Money. That's right.
That's all it is. And it's kind of funny because he, on the Morgan Matthews film, he says, people say I'm in it for the money, you know, but, you know, they don't know what they're talking about. You know, no, you are in it for the money. Good God, I've seen the spreadsheets. I know he's in it for the money. You know, read 50 Large, my book I wrote about the Georgia hoax and stuff like that. You'll see it. You'll see things that, you know, you normally wouldn't see, including the Searching for Bigfoot business plan, which I had gotten strangely from Rick Dyer. I mean, people, oh, you were a Biscardi employee. No, I wasn't. I was tagging along. I was their evidence consultant. That's what role I was playing. I was never an employee of theirs.
Right.
And, you know, I had a 1099 to prove, hey, I'm not an employee. I have no vested interest in that thing, nor would I want to be brought into it.
Right.
You know, so it's kind of funny because, you know, how did Rick Dyer get their business plan? If I was so involved, how come I didn't get it? Because I wasn't. Anyway, the only reason why I got that was because I actually had to meet it face to face with Dyer, and he gave me everything I demanded.
Yeah.
And that's how I got the freezer receipt. But anyway, I digress.
Rick, you know, he come through with a few positive aspects. You got to give him credit for that.
Yeah, you get him out of the Bigfoot sphere, and he becomes a decent person.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's not an unlikable guy. None of these folks are really unlikable guys. They're only unlikable because we're enemies now. That's why they're unlikable. But even Dyer can introspect and even say, and Dyer has been on video saying this, that Randy Filipovic, Steve Kulls, they're nice guys outside of Bigfoot. But outside of Bigfoot for who? Me or him? I think he's talking about himself when he gets out of Bigfoot, that we're nice guys. Not us stepping out of Bigfoot. Because we're just mouthpieces for the truth, or trying to mouthpiece for some of the truth, because this is a very tangled web, this thing. So you look at all these profiles, the different ones. You have the the hoaxer, the profiteer, the psychological needy, and the jokester. Well, they all base a little bit on psychology altogether, but the real thing is what is motivating them. Biscardi, definitely a profiteer. Rick Dyer, definitely a profiteer. Todd Standing, definitely a profiteer. Linda Newton Perry, no, she's a psychologically needy hoaxer. Someone might argue, and see, this is where some of that crossover is. Some might argue she's trying to sell her fiction books. Very true.
That's the thing. She does write Bigfoot children's books
and fiction, and her, so it's a platform for her to push her work forward. Now let's get to Dr. J. Where does he sit in this? Because I bet you dollars, I can almost guarantee dollars to donuts, there ain't no effing Zorth. So my point is either this is a grand illusion on his part, but at the same time he's trying to profit from it too by the book. And and the funny thing is, in that video, it says, "Oh, people say it's about ego," and then he goes on to talking about, "See, I'm first. They would have to admit." He comes into that superiority phase where he needs to feel superior and bigger superior. And being a psychologist, he should know this by now. But it's very hard to self-diagnose unless this is, again, and I've said this too before, perhaps this is just a grand experiment of his. Maybe it's just a grand experiment. I don't know. I don't think so, because the way it's gone way on for far too long. It's gone on for way far too long. And so you never really know. So I just I'm trying to think of other people that then we had the guy we featured a few months ago, the Rick Dyer wannabe. I forgot his name. But he was the guy taking other people's footprints and putting it out as his and trying to claim he got them. Again, he's not trying to profit there. There's a psychological, and he wasn't trying to prank or joke with anybody. It was just a psychological need to feel superior to everybody else, and to feel ahead and in the know, and being special. Hey, I'm content. There was a period of time, and this is the way true things happen. There was a period of time where a few years in a row, I had a lot of incredible things happen. But you know what? I didn't publish not 40% of the only thing I ever talked about were my sightings. And if I got into a lecture room, I would talk about some of the other things that went on, but it wasn't something I would try to boast about or goad about and say, "Oh, you don't know." When I argue the point of anything, like there's people that want to argue about, and you can always tell the type of people where they lie, is when I'm like, well, listen, I'm just saying that, when I get in an argument with somebody, that's my goal is, I'm just saying that, this is what a primate does. And it seems like that's outside of what a primate can do, or a mammal can do, or this can do, and vice versa. And it's not ego there. It's just facts. That's all. And then you have somebody that'll throw, well, I've seen these things. That's when I come out and say, well, I've seen them too. And that's only to combat their ego. And it never works, because they, again, they have that ego that they want to win that argument with the ego instead of facts.
Right.
Even on the other side, I had a guy arguing with me, about being nocturnal versus diurnal. And he came out with this wackadoo. Well, our biologists said that, in their studies that the Sasquatch is diurnal. Well, there you go again. What biologists? I'm still waiting. What? Right. So there you have, again, you go back to telltale signs of an online hoax. Your people are very thin. So, and Walt asked a question, can some hoaxers be a combination like profiteer and psychological? Yes. And I think, Dr. Johnson is one of those. Let's face it. I do not think, well, not really. I don't think so. Dr. Johnson, and I'm going to go on record, is not, if he's a hoaxer, he's not a profiteer. Nothing to do with profiteer. He is a psychological hoaxer. And I'll explain why. Because I don't think his major motive is money. I think his major motive is control. Think about it. He's not bucking for TV shows. He doesn't have a Patreon page. At least I don't think he does. He has a book. I have 2 books. He's writing a second book. And I know having 2 books, you ain't making a lot of money. You ain't making nothing. I knew Bill Brand for years. Bill was always like, you don't make much money. Same thing with Paul Bartholomew. Paul Bartholomew, he's written a few books. He still works.
Yeah.
So writing a book isn't necessarily about profit. I kind of joked about that because he said, it's about profit. And then he mentions the word book like 25 times, which I thought was kind of funny. But to me, that may not necessarily show he's looking for money.
Yeah.
He's looking to spread the gospel. Understand? Yeah. What do we call the Bible? The good book. Well, he's saying book.
Well, when you build your own religion like that, oh man, the money comes,
Well, yes and no, but I don't think that it does come. It does come with a few. I dare say there are a lot of cults out there that are dirt poor. I mean, Manson had a cult. He wasn't rich.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Koresh had a cult. He wasn't rich. I mean, yeah, they had a big property or whatever, but he wasn't rich. He wasn't driving around in Rolls Royces, right?
Right.
The rich ones are the ones that get, what was the guy with the Heaven's Gate cult? I mean, maybe he was rich. I don't know. He's dead. But, Jim Jones, yes, he made a lot of money, but it wasn't about money, even though he made a lot of money. The same thing with what's that other dude? I'm trying to think of, not Jim Jones. It'll come to me. But like let's look at Jim Jones. He made a lot of money and did a lot of, but you know what? He spent a lot of that money for the cult.
Yeah. Yeah.
Land in Guyana, moving everybody over there, all the money he spent on there. He wasn't rich. He couldn't run away to a country for years and years and years without going broke.
Yeah. Some of those guys are probably just about power, control, and power.
Hey, Paul, how are you, sir? Good to see you on board.
Paul.
And Ronnie, you're exactly right. It's about control. Yeah. And I think that's what Dr. J's thing is. It's not what Biscardi's thing is. He doesn't want to have 1,000 people following him. He just wants the green. Same thing. Rick Dyer may appear that he wants 1,000 people following him, but the end result is he wants the green. Lyndon Newton Perry, on the other hand, that's more of a psychological need to feel special, to feel superior. Because I don't think, like I said, you don't get rich being an author. So that's what I think is going on there. So you have these 4 different archetypes. Now, let's look at Todd Standing. What is his motivation? Anybody want to try to guess? Because, I got to sit here and actually think about that one.
Blonde interns.
Yeah. Well, if I had the bell, I would be like, ding, ding. Yeah, right. That could be a little bit of feeling superior. And I do get that because, although he had this little movie, I think it really has to do with him about feeling special, feeling superior, and feeling not necessarily about control. It's about a weak ego. So I think it is. And you got to understand that in a lot of these, what we would call serial offenders, people who consistently do the same crime are serial offenders. And, a lot of things, now, Nani makes a good point. I got an argument diary. It ended up turning into him saying, I wanted him. Exactly. It's about control. It's about a weak ego. If you look at probably some of their childhoods, not necessarily, without necessarily pinpointing, some of these folks may have had a crappy childhood or have had some traumatic event in their life that made them go this way. But it's always within them. And it's really difficult now to say, did Matt Johnson have a real experience? Did he have a real experience? Because for a while, he got the limelight. Hey, we have this psychologist who had a Bigfoot sighting. Right? So he gets all this attention. It's feeding his feeling special.
Right.
Then after 10 years, it starts to go away. Now all of a sudden we see this deviation. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That seems to be going on. That's what I think. That's what I think is going on there. Rick Dyer. I don't necessarily know what started his motivation, but it was there. And then it went away, and then his notoriety went away. And then came 2012, and let's start it again. Right?
I think he's done now. I think he's happy selling cars.
He is. But he is because he's made a lot of enemies selling cars. He has been a cult of personality in the auto industry, and that is taking his psychological need from foraying into the Bigfoot world. And you can always tell when the car business starts getting quiet for him, he starts going back to Bigfoot. Again, there it is. His constant need to feel important, to feel superior, is when he's not getting that in the automotive world. Then you'll see him make a video out. If things are going bad in the auto world, you'll see him go back to Bigfoot. And then as soon as things go back to being good in the auto world, he forgets about Bigfoot. Remember, it was about a year ago he came out with that video. Oh, you wait in September 2019. Well, September 2019 came and went because he's running some kind of stupid online course. So that's feeding his need to feel special in front of the class and everything like that.
Yeah.
And hey, if people think otherwise, let me know. Like I said, I love good conversation, and that is, like I said, you can always tell because people say, "Oh, you're trying to have an ego, Kulls." Do I have an ego?
Well, everybody's got an ego. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but it's what you do, to inflate that ego is, how you judge somebody's character, and I don't think by educating people and getting the word out is anything bad. I think that it shows good character, Steve.
Well, you know what it is? It's like I feel very passionate about what I do.
Yeah.
I feel very passionate about what I've learned. When I first got into Bigfoot, it has transformed.
Yeah.
It's even transforming as time goes by now. I've become more of a critic and become more of a skeptic than I was, 5 years ago.
Yeah,
But that, to me, that's not because of cynicism. That's because of knowledge.
Right.
You start reading and learning and reading and looking at case examples, learning psychology, starting to look at things from another perspective. And you start seeing things on a pretty regular basis. And contrasting, like that was the difference between the psych study and the Ketchum study.
Yeah.
And looking back, I knew psych's attitudes towards things, and I knew Ketchum's attitudes toward things. And what I saw over here on the Ketchum stuff was ego go and control go. Right?
Yeah.
And people who know me, I'm pretty damned easy, and it takes a lot to piss me off within my organizations.
Yeah.
And the only thing I ever ask for people is loyalty and honesty. And when I don't get that, pardon my French, because I'm going to drop an F-bomb. When I don't get loyalty and honesty, it fucking makes me go into rage. But my rage is a quiet rage, because people who know me, you know, I'm a bumbling guy. If I get pissed off, you know, it's kind of funny. You avoid this place when I'm in, so you guys are going to know me a little bit more. You avoid the office, and I'm probably going to hear a laugh in the other room here in a second, because I know she's listening. When I'm in the office making a video or putting together stuff for whatever reason, you know, it sounds like there's 5 people in the room because I'm having conversations. Right? But when I really get pissed off, this is what you hear. Silence.
Yeah.
And Chris, you know me. Yeah, you know me outside of this.
Yeah.
And am I an egomaniac?
Oh no, I wouldn't say that at all. No.
I am probably I'm it's kind of funny because
I would say really you're probably one of the most modest people that I've ever met. And you know, there's a little thing about promotion, like when you're promoting your shows and stuff. I mean, that's not ego. Okay, that's promoting the show. But yeah,
you got to be a showman.
Yeah,
you have to be a showman. But when you talk to me and people come up to me, even if you don't believe what I believe and vice versa,
right?
You know, I have a friend on my friends list. Her name is Cookie Stringfellow. That's her handle. And I met Cookie last year at Rochester Winter Parafest, which for folks, I'll be advertising that next week on the show. But that's a show if anybody's in the Rochester, New York area. We're going to be doing a great show put on by Ted Vanson. Does a great job putting a show on out there. But, you know, we had this conversation, well, I feel they do that. So then I explained to her how I felt and how science could kind of answer a lot of those questions, because people think stop the lunacy means I'm calling people liars. People think that, oh, you're saying you can't believe it. No. I'm not saying you can't believe that, but tell me why. And then I say, tell me why. And then they turn around and, well, they say, well, I saw the Sasquatch, and then all of a sudden I had this white light come over me. And, I'm just giving an example. I had this white light come over me, and I went away and it was gone. Well, there's a lot of scientific explanations that explain what happened. And then I go down that list. And then at the end of that conversation, Cookie shook my hand and said, you know what? She goes, I don't know if I necessarily buy that, but it sounds credible enough. And you're the only person that's ever stood there and listened to my side of the story and try to explain it in a different way.
Right.
And she thought that was amazing. So, and that was kind of cool. She really paid me a compliment. It almost brought me to tears. And, that's what it's about. People who meet me, and Chris, you've seen that because you hung out with me a little bit at Scarefest.
Yeah.
I try to connect with people when I'm out there. And
and
the only way to connect people is with kindness, sincerity, and understanding that they're taking their time out of their day to talk to me. And that's my honor. That's not their honor. That's my honor. I am honored. People have asked me well, how much do you charge to go out with you? Hey, you're going to be in the area? I'll take you out. If you're a Facebook friend and you're in the area, whatever, and you're interested in Bigfoot, I know that I've taken quite a few people out in the woods, out in my area, show them around.
Yeah.
And there was well, how much do you charge? I don't charge. That's my honor. That's, my privilege to try to give you some of what I feel is my knowledge. And that's the way it is. I never charge for expeditions. I never do, but I may have a special expedition. Like I said, we're doing the Patreon page, and if people subscribe to a certain level, they will have the opportunity to get out in the field with a special expedition.
Yeah.
But
when the people say about this, why are you trying to stop the lunacy? I wouldn't think that that's a bad thing, because my explanation would be, Steve, that there are people out there saying that Bigfoot can disappear into a portal. And okay, that's fine. They're saying that. But Steve and Chris are over here saying, gorillas can't do that.
Mammals can do that.
And not anything that we know of can do that.
Homo sapiens can't do that.
Right. How can a Bigfoot disappear into a portal? And we're just asking that question,
Right.
We can't do that. How can Bigfoot? Well, I don't know. It just does. No, there's got to be some sort of explanation there.
How do they understand English?
Yeah, exactly.
Or
would they understand Spanish, or
Well, according to Dr. Johnson, he has a recording of them speaking Greek.
Greek.
Well, that's all Greek to me anyway.
Yeah.
So that, yeah. And Suzanne, thank you. I appreciate that. Suzanne, I think you're a very sweet person yourself. So we'll have you back on too sometime. We got to get you back on the new show. Get your webcam up. That way we
love having Suzanne as a guest. She's a great guest.
Nani says press 1 for English.
That's about right, Nani. Every time I get a call, I hear that.
Press Ute for Igpe Attenley.
No, Espanol. Okay.
Espanol. Was ist los mit du? Haben Sie einen Vogel? Ach, du bist ein Vogel. Ach, Mensch. Wie geht's, Herr Bennett? I'm sorry, I'm speaking German to you.
We brought up that subject. Okay, I don't know who was brought it up, but Bigfoot speaking. Okay, Spanish or English, whatever. I've never heard that. I've never heard them speak any language. But then you had the Sierra sounds, and I've listened to that. If it's made up, it was. It must have been hilarious.
That was awesome. Press 2 for Zorth. Yeah. No, stop the lunacy. It has nothing to do about putting people down. It has to do with questioning rationality, questioning where is your evidence, questioning bad evidence. Like there's people out there that are quote unquote flesh and blood people that are putting out bad evidence too.
Yeah.
Claiming they have all the answers, which we don't know.
No.
All I can tell you is I base my answers on what a primate can do.
Right.
Bigfoot has to be a primate. Look at it. Yeah. If they're comparing it, well, it could be a human. Well, that's still a primate. The only way it can't be a primate is it's an extraterrestrial. That's it. Or a magical being or anything like that. But I haven't seen any proof to that. Hell, we haven't even seen real proof that Sasquatch exists, other than what our own eyes sometimes have shown us. And we have to keep that into mind too. We also have to keep into mind this is only Bigfoot, folks. So if there's folks out there that are feuding with people or pissed off at people because they believe Bigfoot is one thing and not the other, well, guess what? You're wrong. You're wrong for feeling that way. This is only Bigfoot. We are all humans. We all have connections. We're all good fellow. 99% of the people I've met in this field are great people, whether they believe in Zorth or whether they believe in whatever. That's what we forget. We're in a world where, polar opposites have to be enemies, and they don't.
Nope.
And that's the thing. That's why I've gotten along with the paranormalists or the Woonacy fans. Right? That's the reason why. And that's nothing wrong with that. You can believe in what you believe in and still call me a friend and talk to me and whatnot. And there may be researchers that have beefs with other researchers over some issues, some petty, some not so petty.
Yeah.
But I can be friends to you both. I don't get involved in family disputes.
Right.
Simple as that.
Yep. We don't do that. We don't do politics.
No. But the funny thing is that if you think about it from a perspective, we see what's going on in the political world today. Doesn't matter, blue, red, doesn't matter at this point. But this is what's been going on in this field for the last 50 years.
Yeah.
So to me, it should stop, but it won't.
Yeah, that was one of the things I never did like about the Bigfoot forum, Steve. It's very, very political over there, you know. And a lot of times, you know, you'd have to like admonish somebody for doing something or saying something that you agreed with, you know. But according to the rules of the forum, they couldn't say that, or they couldn't say this.
Or people see the problem is this.
Yeah.
Confucius said, and this is actually a saying, is that, you know, tact is the art of getting your point across without making an enemy.
Yeah.
And you know what? I have at times not had tact.
Yeah.
Because tact didn't seem to be getting through. And that happens. And if I'm ever quiet on a particular topic, because sometimes I get in these groups and all of a sudden, Steve, you ain't saying nothing. I also live by the rule that better to keep your mouth shut and be thought a fool than open your mouth and remove all doubt. So, you know, and I don't mean to get off on a different spin here. We were talking about hoaxers, but you know, I heard this a person got really pissed off. He said, "Oh well, Steve's a nice guy, but he got all, you know, but he's got no right to." Wait, I'm voicing my opinion that I think that the didn't Confucius also say, "Man with hole in pocket feels cocky all day"? That's right. Absolutely correct. But sorry.
Happy thoughts. Happy thoughts.
That one's catching up with me. You know, Stop the Lunacy is also fighting hoaxing, because lunacy is just a play on woo and lunacy. So the woo and lunacy all comes together and becomes woonacy. It's people putting out gifting bowls, and where I've seen people, oh, well, they put a watermelon out and an apple and a pineapple, and the next morning I came out and it was all gone. Now, they're not saying that Sasquatch is a, you know, portal jumping cloaker that comes off a UFO that can turn into a ghost or a demon. That's the other, that we'll get into that topic in a second. It's still, you can't tell if you got no evidence that it was a set. Well, the whole thing was gone. So what? See, that's also part of the lunacy. It's not just your paranormalists that are your supernaturalists or your woo folks. It's the other stuff. It's everything lumped into one big pile. The Melba Ketchum study, woonacy. Of course, that actually became woo after the lunacy. You know, I don't know how much more I can put that out there, that I'm not telling people they can't believe what they want. I've always said that. Chris, you know, I've always said that.
Oh yeah.
I said, but I'm pointing out that, hey, there's a lot of holes in these stories, and I tend to have fun with it. Not necessarily to feel superior against anybody or to even put them down, but just to show the whole ridiculousness and have a laugh at it. I thought, people would get that. Some don't, most do.
Well,
So-
you got to question. Somebody's got evidence. You got to question it, and you can't accept it on faith because, hey, that's what you do in religion.
Right.
And I don't think Bigfoot doesn't qualify as a religion, not counting Zorth. Zorth may be a tempting religion.
That is correct.
What are we looking at here?
Snapple.
Ah.
Hang on a
I
second.
know.
So
Yeah, you have this fondness.
I'm just throwing that up there because we're getting close to the end already. It's 10 minutes to 11 already. Boy, did this day go by fast.
Oh man.
Why am I not on the bill for Bigfoot conferences? Good question, Paul. Paul goes, the only way you may good yeah, well, that's a good question. Don't know. Maybe because, I'm not being facetious or anything, but when conferences pop up, I get asked, I go. If I don't, there's a couple that I have inquired on and haven't heard squat. So whatever. Never been asked to go to the Ohio Bigfoot conference or speak there. Funny, the one time I went there, everybody was asking me when I was speaking, but nobody, remember that?
Yeah.
Chris was there because like, when are you speaking? I'm not. I'm just here. Creature Weekend, haven't heard anything about it. So, and I took myself off the Scarefest schedule because, they were changing out the forum, so they didn't really have the accommodations last year that they had in previous years. And good night, Walt.
Walt.
So I can't answer why am I not on the bill for Bigfoot conferences. I'm interested.
Yeah,
I'm
I
there.
think they should have you. Somebody needs to invite you, Steve, because I've heard your presentation and I think it's really great. And while I was listening to your presentation, I sat next to a couple ladies who had driven there. You met them later on. I can't remember y'all's names, honey, but they drove all the way from Texas, and they weren't there. Right? Yeah. They were there to hear Steve Kulls.
Yep. And I do different presentations for different groups, different types of people. Like when I do Scarefest, I talk about more generic stuff and show them evidence.
Mm-hmm.
And when I do, conferences like if I was to, like when I went out to my very first one was a great one. I went out to Westmoreland Community College, and I, and mind you, I have spoken on the same stage with Dr. Jeff Meldrum.
Yeah,
at least 5 or 6 times.
Mm-hmm.
At Cabela's, it was, the big, even though other people spoke, it was always the big double bill. It was me and him that always got put up front. Not that I'm tooting my own horn. I'm not trying not to. But, and when I talk to like primarily research groups, I get more technical. I talk about, at tools and stuff that to use for detecting fraud and hoaxes and some field techniques and some evidence collection techniques and stuff like that. Yeah. And I try to mix it in with other pieces of evidence that I've collected over the years. And you're apt there to see a lot of things that normally you don't see on the website. That stuff I put up there so we can discuss it, because as you can tell, I'm a very interactive person.
No,
I try. No, I try to have a lot of fun with the crowds I'm in front of, and and the funny thing is, I've been doing a lot of local stuff. I mean, you said, Paulie said, how come I'm not doing a lot of Bigfoot conferences? Well, last year I did 4 or 5 different shows. Sometimes I get hooked up with paranormal conferences too, like the Rochester Winter Parafest. I'll be speaking there. There's one for the year already. I'm sure down the road there'll be Chautauqua Lake. I'm speaking in Virginia this year as well. I got it kind of escaped my head, but that's going to be, I think, mid-April. I'm going to be speaking in Virginia. So, and then eventually there may be the Whitehall Sasquatch Festival. So I got that down the road. So I do. And last year, one of the last events I did was actually, there is a pub in downtown Troy, New York, which a lot of people don't know is I grew up in Troy. And actually, the article is actually behind me over that way. You can't see it because the Squatch is in the way. But I made the front page in the newspaper saying, the Squatch detective comes to Troy tonight. And they did a whole little piece on me. And I went down there, and there was a good couple hundred people there at the pub.
Wow.
And then afterwards, they said, hey, would you be able, and this is the really weird stuff is, I've been on the History Channel. I've done all those shows, and the pub printed those articles out on nice copy paper.
Yeah.
And at the end of the show, they were handing them out. And then the owner of the place goes, hey, could you stay for a meet and greet? Well, absolutely. So I stood there, and I must have signed about 75, 85 autographs that night because everybody was handing out, can you sign this? Can you sign this? Can you sign this?
Oh, wow.
So it was like
nice.
really surreal, and people wanted to talk. And these people had talked about the Monster Quest and stuff like that. And it wasn't, these were just people off the street. These weren't researchers. And the real cool thing about it was these were folks from the town I grew up in, the city I grew up in.
Yeah.
And that was like coming home.
Yeah.
And, people come up, oh, that was really cool. You did a Monster Quest and blah, 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 or Monsters and Mysteries Unsolved, blah, 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 blah. And we're talking. And they're like, so for you from around here? I said, I grew up in Troy. What school did you go to? Oh, I went to Troy High. Well, I did too. Yeah. Back when, dinosaurs took us to school. But,
Oh, man.
And Shane Corson, one of the best things about these symposium conferences, hearing from those that attend. Yeah, exactly. And that's another thing. When I go to the Whitehall Bigfoot Festival or Sasquatch Calling Festival, you get so many people there. Yeah, I had my sighting and blah, blah, blah. I actually met Dr. Warren Cook's daughter, who I had a little conversation with. And she, of course, had a sighting too. So, those are great for those things. But anyway, Chris, we just got a couple of minutes left here. So, yeah. So it's been a quick night again, and I'm getting a little hoarse, as you can hear.
Yeah, man, you've been doing a lot of talking. You've done a presentation over hoaxers.
Yep. Yeah. So just a quick programming note again, folks. Next week we will have John Kuykendall on, or Kuykendall.
And if that's not right, we'll get it right when he shows up.
I apologize. So anyway, thanks for everybody for being here. Chris, final words for the night as you sip your tasty beverage.
Well, I just want to thank everybody for joining us. We appreciate y'all. Sharpest audience in the world. Thank y'all.
That's right.
Yeah, thank y'all for joining us, and come back and join us next week.
That's right. Next week, we'll be here at 9 p.m. Eastern here on SquatchDTV.com, SquatchDetective.com, Facebook.com/ Steve Kulls. Hell with it. All those up in the top of the screen you see there. But anyway, we'll be all back at you with next Sunday night, 9 p.m. Eastern. Everybody have a great week. Be safe. Most of all, keep on squatching. Catch you all. God bless. Good night.
911, what are you reporting?
We got someone or something crawling around out here.
All I can remember is flipping the light on, and I see this creature, and I knew in my heart, I knew in my mind, the whole night, this isn't a man.
Went to look forward, and there was a big black thing, is all I can call it, that was in midair going across the road in front of me.
And then this thing walks across the road, takes a turn towards us, and then leaps over a guardrail.
And the whole time, the whole thing was shadowing us, right behind us, right outside of us. You could kind of see the thing moving through the woods.
There are thousands of perfect people whose word would be good on any other subject who describe getting a good look at an enormous hair-covered upright animal. That is a fact.
Don't get me a snap.